Right, so hey everyone and welcome back to another budget photography video. So, buying secondhand cameras can be very frightening, but, if you go to the right place, you can get an extraordinary deal. So, as an example, this is the Canon 1D Mark IV, made in 2009. It's a really old camera. But this does everything that I need it to do, and it didn't cost me $6,000 like the current 1DX. Mark III? Mark IV? Anyway, you get what I'm trying to get at here. And then this is the Canon RP. I paid £900 for this camera rather than about £1,300 to £1,400 from Canon. Now, yes, the Canon RP isn't as old as something like the 5D, or actually the 1D, but I still made a massive saving because I didn't go directly to Canon to buy it. So when you're buying a secondhand camera, what do you need to do to buy a secondhand, I don't know, say a 5D? Well, first of all, you need to figure out what you need. So when you buy a secondhand camera, you need to figure out a few things first. So one of the things you need to figure out is, do you need crop or full frame? There are lots of benefits to having both of them, such as with crop-sensed cameras, there's more reach, but with full frame you can get better bokeh, especially when doing portraits. Do you need a video mode? Will you be, vlogging with it? So, which means, do you need a microphone port? Do you need a headphone jack? What kind of memory do you want to use? Do you want to use CF cards or SD cards or CF Express? Identify what you need and find the camera that does that for you. Identify what you need and find the camera that does that for you. So when I brought this, it had everything that I wanted. I wanted to shoot a fast FPS, and this has 10 FPS. Although that's on 1/60th of a shutter, so it doesn't sound as good as it normally would, because I didn't change the shutter before filming this. But it should roughly actually sound. Let's increase that. There we go. And it has a magnesium alloy body, which is something, again, I wanted and needed from a camera. And then this is something completely different. This is more video focused than the 1D, for example. The 1D is a sports camera, whereas the RP isn't. So it has a mic input, it has a headphone port, it has really good continuous autofocus in movie mode, whereas the 1D doesn't have that. So figure out what you need from a camera and find the camera that you need. And then you need to figure out how much you want to spend. So a lot of old-ish digital cameras are currently going for a really good bargain at the moment. You can pick a 500D for about £100. And if you just want to be able to take full frame nice pictures, a 5D or a 6D is about £400 to £500. So while yes, that is still a lot of money, it's a lot less than something like this, the RP, at £900. Now, I am talking about Canon a lot because I only really know Canon. I don't know much about Nikon or Sony or anything like that. So when I talk about, the 5Ds, the 6Ds, the 1Ds and stuff like that, I don't know about Sonys or Nikons. So, but the stuff still stands up. If you need to find a camera that's a Sony, then this advice still, it still fits. Now, this is a DSLR, a digital single lens reflex, which means it is digital. It has one lens because, yes, there used to be cameras with two lenses, and it is a reflex, which means there is a mirror here that is reflecting into the prism up here and through into my viewfinder, meaning I can see what the lens sees. So if the lens is out of focus, I know about it. Behind this mirror is the image sensor and something called a shutter. Just here. Let's zoom in for you, shall we? That, oops, come on, focus for me. That is the image sensor and shutter. I can expose this sensor now, just like that, and that's what it looks like. And as a camera begins to age, they can take less pictures. So something like this is rated for 500,000 clicks. So 500,000 photos, basically. That's how much the shutter is rated for. So you have a shutter rating. So you need to try your best to find out what the shutter rating is. Now, as I said, as cameras age, when you buy secondhand cameras, it's inevitable that you're not really going to know what its past was like, because you don't really know what the previous owner did with it. So, yeah. So trying to find the shutter count is kind of not vital, but kind of really important. Now, unfortunately, Canon do make it really hard to find on these cameras. Now, on Canon, you can get a third-party software called Magic Lantern that does enable you to then find out what the shutter count is. Although that software is not made or endorsed by Canon, such as Magic Lantern, that once installed, you can find the shutter count. But it's not endorsed by Canon, it's a third-party software, and it can be dangerous. And then probably actually most importantly, make sure it's in good condition. I fell for this, right? This is one of the reasons why I'm making this video, because I brought the 1D from Computer Exchange, which is a shop here in the UK. And I got so excited about having this big, sexy, new 10 FPS camera that I didn't really pay attention to the damage to it. And it was only after a few days that I got home and I realised there's paint on top of the bodywork. And it wasn't any normal paint. It was nail polish. Black nail polish. Someone, I'm not accusing anyone, whether it was an employee or the previous owner, had put nail polish on the 1D that I have right here. And because I was so blindsided by excitement and having this new sexy camera, I didn't pay attention to the obvious paint until a few days later. I was like, that chips off. And then I realized it was paint, and the kind of excessive damage to this camera was just like, oh, I've paid way too much for this camera. So my best advice is try not to get blindsided by excitement with buying a new thing, a new toy, a new camera. Because I do. And it nearly could have mucked everything up for me. And then most importantly, make sure that when you get your camera, you turn it on, you make sure it works before you buy it. Twiddle around with it, press the shutter, turn it on, check the battery percentage, see if it's even got a free SD card. Sometimes you get a free SD card in there. Make sure it works. That's why whenever I personally buy a camera, I take a lens with me, a battery if I've got one. So if I'm buying something that takes the LPE6, I'll take the LPE6 battery that I keep here. And I'll usually take a memory card with me. So yeah, just to make sure that there is no excuses for this camera not to work. Anyway, those are my tips for buying a secondhand camera. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.